done in the past with certain Yomim Tovim, over the next few weeks, I'd like to spend some time to share with you some ideas about Chanukah. And I think that the way I would like to do this is by going through the Gemara about Chanukah and sharing with you some insights along the way. As I'm sure many of you are aware, strangely, the discussion about Chanukah and the Gemara, there is no Mesechta, there is no tractate of the Gemara which is dedicated to Chanukah, and it kind of stumbles into its place in Meseches Shaboos. And you see right from the beginning of the discussion how the Gemara connects it to Meseches Shaboos. And then once the Gemara has a toehold in to speak about Chanukah, it goes to town. So the second perek of Meseches Shaboos discusses what types of oil and what type of wicks are appropriate for usage for Shabbos candles. And continuing from that, the Gemara says as follows: Amar Rav Huna, Pesilos ushmanim, the wicks and the types of oil, she'amru chachamim, about which the sages said, ein madlikin bahen b'Shabbos, that you are not allowed to light with them on Shabbos for your Shabbos candles. Additionally, ein madlikin bahen b'Chanukah. You also may not use those wicks or those oils for your Chanukah light. Bein b'Shabbos, bein b'chol. Whether it's Chanukah falling out in the middle of the week, or whether it's the night of Chanukah, which coincides with Shabbos, either way, you may not light your Chanukah lights with any of the wicks that are prohibited for use for Shabbos candles as well. Amar Rava, my time de Rav Huna, and Rava then comes along and explains to us Rav Huna's reasoning. Kasavar, because Rav Huna is of the opinion that kavsa zakukla, that if you lit your Chanukah candles and then they go out, you're obligated to relight them. And therefore, we want you to make sure that you light them properly with the best quality wicks and the best quality oil to begin with, because we're afraid that if you light them with substandard wicks and oil and then they go out early, you might not bother to light them again. And furthermore, umutter lehishtamesh laora. Also, Rav Huna holds that you are permitted to use the light of the Chanukah candles for your own personal use. And again, we're concerned that if you use the substandard oils and wicks and it's Shabbos, the light might not be sufficiently bright. And that's why you can't use them for Shabbos candles. You might adjust them on Shabbos, which is prohibited. Rav Chisda Amar, Rav Chisda says, no, madlikin behen bechol. Those oils and wicks which may not be used for Shabbos candles are permitted to be used for Chanukah candles during the weekday, avalo b'Shabbos, but the night or nights that Chanukah coincides with Shabbos, you may not use them. Because Kosover, he's of the opinion that kavsa, if the Chanukah lights go out, ein zakukla, you do not have an obligation to relight the candles. Umutter lishtamesh laora. And you are permitted to use the light. So therefore, on Friday night, you can't use substandard oil and wicks because of our concern, lest you need to adjust them and you'll forget that it's Shabbos and inadvertently adjust them. However, during a weeknight, it's fine if you use them because, excuse me, if they go out during the week, then you could just relight them. And if they start flickering while you're reading by the light, it's no problem if you adjust them. And if you don't relight them, if they go out during the week, it's no big deal. Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav Masne. Rav Zera said, in the name of Rav Masne, V'amrila, and others say, Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav, that Rav Zera said the following in the name of Rav: Pesilos ushmanim, wicks and oils, she'amru chachamim, about which the sages said, Ein madlikin behen b'Shabbos, you may not light with them on Shabbos. Madlikin behen b'Chanukah, you may use them on Chanukah. Bein b'chol, whether during the week, bein b'Shabbos, or on Shabbos. And that's actually what the halacha is. The halacha is accordance with this opinion, that the types of wicks and the types of oils that are prohibited for Shabbos candles are permitted for Chanukah candles. Rabbi Yirmiyah, my time of the Rav, Rabbi Yirmiyah explained Rav's reasoning. Kasavar, because Rav is of the opinion that kavsa, if it goes out, ein zakuk la, you are not required to relight, and therefore, if you use substandard wicks and oil and it goes out, okay, so if you didn't relight it, it's really no big deal. And v'asur lehishtamesh la'ora, he's also of the opinion that it is prohibited to use the light of the Chanukah candles for your own personal use. And therefore, on Shabbos, you're not going to start reading a book to the light of the Chanukah candles, and therefore there's no concern that you might adjust them. Amruha Rabbanan Kamei da Abaye Mishmei de Rabbi Yirmiyah, and some of the gathered rabbis told this halacha to Abaye in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah, v'lo kibla, and he did not accept the halacha as being authoritative. He asur Ravin, but when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Amruha Rabbanan, the rabbi said over this halacha, Kamei da Abaye, in front of Abaye, Mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, and this time v'kibla, he accepted the halacha as authoritative. Amar, he said, Izakoi, had I merited, Gamirte lishmaite meikara, I would have learnt and accepted this halacha the first time I heard it. The Gemara says, well, what's the big deal if you didn't accept it the first time? And he's first accepting it now. V'hagamra, eventually he accepted the halacha. The Gemara says, nafkamina, the difference is legirsa diyankusa, to learn it in your youth. That the Gemara is saying that those things which you learn and understand in your youth have a tendency to remain with you much longer than those things which you first assimilated into your body of knowledge when you're older. So that's the first Gemara about Chanukah. So I want to share with you a couple of ideas. The Sfas Emes points out that a Chanukah candle consists of three parts. There is the nair is the receptacle the glass in which the oil rests. Then there is the shemen, the oil itself. And finally, there is the psila, the wick. So 3 elements to a Chanukah candle: ner, the candle; shemen, the oil; and psila, the wick. The first letters of those 3 words, nun, fe, shin, spell out nefesh, the soul. And the Gemara is alluding to the fact when it says that, according to according to the way we actually hold, that the wicks and oils that you may not use on Shabbos for Shabbos candles, you may use on Chanukah, is that even people, even souls that are not inspired by Shabbos, and the souls don't rise up on Shabbos, just like those wicks and those oils are not acceptable for Shabbos use because the light doesn't grasp onto them very well. However, those same people may be inspired and find their souls being uplifted when it comes to Chanukah. That's why, interestingly, we find in today's world that often people who are very distant from most aspects of Torah observance seem to find some observance and meaning in Chanukah. Because, this goes on with what we'll speak about a lot later on, about Chanukah being the holiday in the darkness, and even those who find their souls in the darkest of places. But the light of Chanukah can reach places where even the light of Shabbos cannot reach. And I am resolving to do my best to continue over the next few weeks through Chanukah, not necessarily every evening, but hopefully 2 or 3 times a week, sharing with you from the Gemara and some ideas about Chanukah. Thank you for listening.